Well, welcome back to the channel, guys, and this week's game hunt is taking place in an area I know pretty well. I haven't been here for some time. I used to live in and around this area. We're heading down to Walthamstow. Now, en route to CEX down there, we've got that Turkish restaurant that I just showed you, and I wish they was open at this time of the morning because I was really hungry and they serve up an amazing munch. Anyway, it wasn't to be. So a quick stop off at Greg's and a couple of steak bakes, and here we are. Let's check out what they've got in the window anyway. Now, my eldest boy continuously wants a little setup like that with a curved screen for his computer. He thinks it's all the rage where he sees other big YouTubers with setups like that. He's got no idea what he would do with it, but yet he's still hassling me to get something like that. Nice selection of PlayStation 5 games, and just to make sure the competition isn't left out, a decent selection of Xbox games as well. Now look, I know what you see here is gaming related, but I just couldn't shake the feeling that that had some sort of gimpish look going on. Shout out to Pulp Fiction fans. Let's not bring out the gimp today. Really nice Far Cry here edition on the PlayStation 4. Really like that statue. I'm not a big statue guy, primarily because I don't really have the room to display them, but I do like them nevertheless. And this Mortal Kombat 1 statue, yeah, I really like that as well, but I will say, I'm pretty certain that this was in the window on my last visit to Walthamstow, and that was around about 7 to 8 months ago, maybe longer. Always nice to see the original Duke controller out and about on your travels. Can't say I'm a massive fan of it, but yeah, definitely got a bit of nostalgia there. It's not as popular as the PlayStation 2 pad, which was primarily its rival back in the day, but yeah, it's got its fans. It even got a remake, didn't it, not too long ago. Now, what I'm about to show you as we're now inside the Walthamstow branch, you could consider it to be a plus, or you could consider it to be a minus. It's all going to depend on how you look at things, but I will say the branch today had an influx of stock here in the cabinets where the retro is kept, the handhelds are kept, and the control pads. But I don't know if it's down to a lack of space, but watch how the stock is displayed. It's kind of a mess. So much stuff in one area of each cabinet. It was really difficult to film today. Not only film the items that I wanted to film, but just to know what I was looking at in general. I mean, you'll see at some stage there's a section of, I believe, Dreamcast games, and other than the game that was on top, I couldn't tell you what other games was there. But admittedly, what I could see was some really good stock. A really decent Game Boy SP there. Normally those variants are really scratched up, but that one looked in really good condition. Nice box from Mario Brothers there as well on the Game Boy. Now, at first glance, I thought to myself they'd mispriced this at $110 for a PlayStation 5. What idiot's done that? But then I quickly got to realise that, yeah, it was indeed just the faceplates. Now, these PlayStation portals, you see them everywhere now. There's definitely a lot of regret when it comes to purchasing those items. Now, I've spoken to lots of people that really enjoy the portal, and I understand why when they explain the reason why they purchased it. It suits their needs perfectly. However, they are everywhere now for sale in CEX branches. So it just goes to show that a lot of people bought it just because they thought it was, you know, a good looking thing and, you know, the latest item out, and got home and were thoroughly disappointed with what they got. Got the original PlayStation VR there, and I will still maintain that that is the best and cheapest entryway into VR that you can possibly get. Yeah, it's a pain to set up, but for the price it's available at now, it's still a pretty good experience. Now here's what I was talking about. Some really great stock, as you can see. But as we get towards the actual games you're going to see behind. Now look, how do I know what's there? Now of course I can see the PSP games, which was quite strange because the PSP stuff does tend to end up on shelves. However, they did have a quite big selection of PSP stuff, so maybe that was why it was in and around the cabinets. A good selection of PlayStation 1 stuff as well. I'm seeing Parasite Eve 2 out a lot of my travels as of late. And as you can see here, a pretty decent selection of GameCube games as well. But this is the problem. They're double stacking. There is stuff behind what you can see here. And I wouldn't know what I was looking at. I mean, look, I'm trying to film content here. And not only am I trying to film content, I was genuinely interested in what games was there. And I didn't really want to go through the app to see exactly what was in this particular branch. I haven't got time for that. Good selection in Nintendo cardboard, nevertheless here. A couple of games you don't see too often out and around, I must say. But again, here we go, loose cartridges. Now it's always good to have loose cartridges, especially on systems like the N64, because that is a system that a lot of people do collect loose for. However, if you can't see the game, what's the point? Anyway, moving on, let's go and check out what they got on the Nintendo Switch. Got Astro Knight there at £10. I really enjoyed that game. I've got it on the PlayStation 5 though. And there's plenty of these card games around right now. Definitely fell off the back of a lorry because the prices dropped dramatically and there's multiple copies in CEXs. And some of them, or if not most of them that I tend to see, they all look sealed. There's a game I'm quite close to finishing, the Illusion Island, I think it's called Illusion Island, the Mickey Mouse game, the Donald Duck, Minnie Mouse and Goofy. Nice to see Goofy in a modern game. I think he's been quite left out of the whole Disney games in recent years, ever since Goof Troop. Oh, Bluey. That game just stares at me every time I go into CEX. I don't know, it just looks at me and says, why do you not buy me? All in all, there's not a great deal on the Switch here today that I am interested personally. But in general, a pretty good selection. That's one I'm interested in, but it is cheaper on the PlayStation 4 and I would imagine it's going to run better, which is quite shocking to say when Nintendo's most recent system is the Switch. Street Fighter Anniversary Collection, and that one has held its value on the Switch. £28. It's normally around about 10 to 12 on other systems. Now, I've got no idea about this game, but upon looking at it, it doesn't look like something I'm really that interested in. So yeah, I think I'll put that one back. Now, whenever you head into a CEX and you go over to your PlayStation 3 area and you start from the beginning, you know what you're gonna get. You're gonna get the Assassin's Creed selection. Oh, we've got a bit of Armored Core 5 in there as well. Now, there's not often I see things that I wouldn't mind picking up on the PlayStation 3. I'm kind of at the end of the journey, I'd say, of the PlayStation 3 collecting. Not much that I want, and that Armored Core, that's one I'm considering picking up today. Now, I'm sure many other people would agree with me. Here we got Fight Night Champion. Definitely the best boxing game still to be made. And that includes Undisputed, that was only recently released. The God of War collection there at £38 in HD on the PS3. And yes, I am getting closer to 3,000 subscribers, which means once I hit that point, I've got to do a video of Get Fit with Mel B. I'll be getting out the Lycra and I'll be getting out the sweatbands and the wristbands for that video. It will look like the return of Andre Agassi. Who am I kidding? The only thing I've got in common with him is hairstyles. 2 copies of Order Up here on the PlayStation 3, £30. That's one of the rarer PlayStation Move games. You don't see that too often, let alone 2 copies in the same store. Ah yes, Start the Party, Save the World. A true family night in. I'd rather jump off a bridge, if I'm honest with you, than play that game. And they've got 2 copies of it. Oh, God. The Telltale Walking Dead games, as you've just seen one of them there. Not a series I've played much of at all. I do remember playing them when they were free on Game Pass, I believe. Just delved in. Are they worth picking up? Now, a rare sight there's that card game, Balefo. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it again. But it's quite rare to see something on the PlayStation that is more expensive than something on the Switch. So something definitely funny's gone on there in terms of the amount of stock that they've got on the Switch. Like I said earlier, there is tons of that game on the Switch in every CEX that you go to. Now, whenever you hit F on one of these sort of sections, it should really stand for franchise, because you've got FC, you would have had FIFAs, F1s, everything that comes out once per year with a few additional tweaks. Jack Holmes, Master of Puppets, gone down to £10 now. A truly terrible game, but in the best way possible. I've got a video lined up that's coming out pretty soon on that game itself, and it is quite playable. I'm not going to say it's terrible in the fact that it's unplayable, but it's quite laughable in how it's voice acted. The graphics are quite poor. It's probably going to end up being worth about £200 in 20 years. It's got it written all over it. Spider-Man 2 there. I've still yet to even begin playing my copy of that one. Now, I've seen this game occasionally and I've got no idea if it's any good or not. It does look intriguing. I don't think I'm willing to pay the asking price that CEX currently have this at, which is £38, but still Wakes the Deep is something I will be keeping my eye on. Now, it's very rare that you see this game out. Tells the Grad on the PlayStation 4. I do wish it was the version on the Wii U. That is very, very difficult to come by. And the price does reflect that. I mean, even at CEX when it is in stock, which is practically never, I think it's around about 60 or 70 pound. Online, you're going to be paying well over 100. Now, I do love the cardboard and the sleeve of this game at Red Wings on the PlayStation 4. However, as nice as it looks, it doesn't look like a game I'd enjoy. Right, okay, so this is a thing. Road Maintenance Simulator. It surely has got to have something in there where you can take tea breaks, go completely over budget, and also finish your contract about 4 to 5 months late. If it's a simulator and it's realistic, that's got to be the case. Turnip Boy there, I'm kind of regretting not picking that one up today. I do tell you now, I didn't pick that one up. I've heard mixed reviews, but it's something I wouldn't mind in the collection at some point. In no rush to play it, in all honesty, so yeah, whilst I regret it, I think I'll come back and get it at some point. I always come down to this branch as and when I'm visiting family, so shouldn't be too difficult to get back down here in the near future. Well, always looking out for the more obscure Wii U games, and we've got a couple there anyway. Fast Racing is probably the only one that I really want to pick up, and I don't think the price is going to drop any lower than 30, not anytime soon, so I'm going to have to consider that one. Now, it's only upon watching this video back that I noticed that the Smurfs 2 was there. I didn't pick that one up, and I am regretting that one. Sports Connection as well, another one I need. Got Driver on the Wii there. I've never actually played that. I've got it. It's in my Wii collection. No idea how that game translates over to the Wii. I would imagine it does incorporate the controls like most Wii games do. And that probably reflects its price. Now, I think I've looked at this game before. I do like the cover art. It looks cheesy. But yeah, it also looks incredibly crap. So I'm not going to pick this one up. Speaking of crap looking games, Squeeball's Party doesn't look too enthralling, I must say. let's head on over to the OG Xbox, and a pretty good selection, I must say, here today. I'm always smiling when I see a good variety of OG Xbox games, because it does seem that there's not that many shops that really cater for it in this day and age. Fusion Frenzy there. I remember when my friend got the Xbox, we kind of mocked it at the time, but what did we know? And Fusion Frenzy was one that he picked up, and I've got to admit, that was a very, very fun party type game. Got a few Vita games hidden down here at the bottom. In fact, when I say a few, considering what you see in other branches, I'm going to take a picture and say that's quite a lot of Vita games. Now, the Walthamstow branch has always had a pretty big selection on the PlayStation 2, and that's still the case upon my visit today. We've got Guilty Gear X here at £10, definitely one I'm going to pick up today. Oh, hang on. As you can see there, or maybe it doesn't come across that well on camera. The cover's a bit battered. Guitar Man there, one that was on my want list for quite some time. However, I've watched various videos of it, and yeah, I'm in no rush to pick that one up unless it's at a price I'm probably a little bit more happy with. It's not really a game that I think I would get that much enjoyment out of. Would be nice to have in the collection though. I understand its cult appeal, and I'm quite surprised, in all honesty, that it's only £35. Now, you know what? In all the years that this game has been out, I've never played it and never owned it. I'm not the biggest fan of the movie itself. I do think it's hugely overrated, and it only gained a lot of traction due to being banned in the UK. But yeah, might have to pick that one up today at £5. Now, as we browse the Xbox Ones and the Series type games, is there a better fighting game available for £2 than Killer Instinct on the Xbox One? I'm going to outright say it, there isn't. Still a fantastic game to play. One that Microsoft, they invested a lot of time into that game, and I don't know if they actually saw much turn back on that game. They gave us a lot of content with that game as well. It was hugely playable, very satisfying in terms of the fighting mechanics, and I long for another Killer Instinct, especially if it's going to be made in the same vein that that previous one was made in. As I said earlier, here we go. We've got the Assassin's Creed wall. The selection that you just cannot get away from. Blue Dragon's dropped in price now. It was one of those games that went up in price when the 360 had its sort of crazy period. Dropped back down now to a more realistic £8. It's an RPG, and for that reason I don't own it, and more than likely will never own it. I'm not an RPG fan, it's not my cup of tea. But there you go. I know I'm highly in the minority on that one. Now the 360 is a console that I'm also, similar to the PlayStation 3, coming to the end of my collection journey. I don't tend to see much out and about that I want anymore on the system. Although I must say, this is a very strange combination of games to have on a pack. There's definitely a few games that I do want on the system, but they're more expensive and they will be behind the counter, like these kind of games I'm checking out here. Got some Deadpools, we have got Octodad, and I was checking out for a friend of mine that copy of Metal Gear on the GameCube. Anyway, here's today's pickups. I did pick up that Reservoir Dogs in the end. I'm actually going to be playing that in the next couple of days. It's one of those games I've always neglected, and maybe it's time to give it a go. We also got Sports Connection on the Wii U to add to my Wii U collection. I'm definitely regretting missing that Smurfs 2 though. And it's not the sort of sentence I believe that I will be saying today. We also got Telsagrad on the PlayStation 4. I only own that digitally on the Switch. As I said, I do wish it was the Wii U version. I do need that, and if I ever see that come into stock, I'll happily drop the money, because it's a game that is always out of stock and you hardly ever see it anywhere. So guys, that was Walthamstow CEX in November 2024. Let me know what you guys think of the store itself. I think it's still a really good shop. It was my local for some time when I was living in and around the area. However, I was disappointed today to see the way a lot of the retro-based stock was put out. I couldn't see half of it and I didn't know what I was looking for. Anyway guys, take care. I'll see you on the next video.